All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to Two Shores, One Story. I'm your host, Matthew Somerville, and today we have a special guest. That's right, we have a guest. Could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Callum. I'm from Ireland. I'm a fellow ALT here in Takayama. And yes, I'm very glad to join you.
Great. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast, despite your
Thank you for
busy
having me.
schedule.
Extremely busy, yes.
Yeah, from Ireland. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
So I come from Canada, and
Oh,
I had to pass the Pacific Ocean, which Japan shares with
yeah.
Canada, but you had to fly over the Atlantic Ocean,
Yeah.
eh?
We had a land transit. So we went to Dubai first from Dublin and then from Dubai to Narita. So it was an interesting when we were landing in Dubai, like the cabin filled with like steam or condensation or something. So it looked a bit like sketchy when we were landed. Everyone was a little bit nervous, like, clenching the armrest, etc. But it was all fine. Apparently it's normal. So yeah,
Interesting.
there was no
I've never
warning
been
of
to
it though.
Dubai.
No, I was only there for a layover. I'm not a big fan of those kind of cities. Like everything you see about them, they're very kind of glitzy and glammy, and they're kind
Hmm.
of, you know, a bit rotten on the inside. It's kind of a rotten Big Apple, basically. The way they're built, etc., and who they're built by. That's
Ah.
good good place to stop.
Good place to stop. And then you went to Japan.
Hmm,
So, well, you're in Japan, but I was curious, what did
hmm.
you do before Japan?
Before Japan, I lived in Sweden, which is in Europe. I lived in Stockholm, uh, and I worked there for a while, a couple of years. And before that, I lived in Ireland, obviously. I went to university in Ireland, and that's kind of where I got the idea to come to Japan. So I was studying there with a few friends from school in university, and one of them had mentioned this jet program, and I kind of thought nothing of it at the time. And yeah, we both went their separate ways after university, and then we texted back and forth, and he sent me some pictures of Japan and the food, etc. And I thought, hmm, maybe maybe it's a good time to do it before I have to do other things in the future. So he kind of put me onto it, and that's pretty much why I'm here. So shout out to him, Nathan Poole, if you're listening. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you. So he did the jet program before.
Yeah. So he was in Hokkaido, uh, in a
Ooh,
city called Sapporo,
Sapporo.
Sapporo,
Hmm.
Sapporo, and yeah, he got his first choice on his application,
That's where
so
he
he
wanted to
applied for
live.
there. Yeah, he wanted to
Oh
live there.
wow.
Yeah, so he got his first choice, and he said it was brilliant. Went skiing and all the rest. So I was very, very intrigued by his stories and his experiences. Mm.
So were you considering on going to any other countries, or was it just Japan?
I think I considered Australia very strongly. A lot of Irish people go to Australia, of course. It's kind of a natural emigration for Irish people, and there's lots of Irish people there. But I thought, I have family there, I have friends there, and then, Canada's pretty popular now as well, America as well. Um, and I have not as many people over there, so kind of more complicated visas as well, I think, in terms of staying. So I thought this was a quick and easy way to experience a completely different culture as well. Because, I mean, what's the difference between, Canada, America, Australia? They're kind of
Hmm.
homo homogeneous, homogeneous. Uh, and kind of similar to Ireland and the UK as well. So it's, you wouldn't really, get as much juice out of, uh, another English speaking country filled with Irish people. It's, you know,
Hmm.
much of a muchness. So
Right.
yeah, Japan is extremely distinct, and I think it's much more of a challenge to kind of integrate, etc. So I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
interesting. Yeah, Japan is very different from
Yeah.
Canada. So you
Were
wanted
you here
somewhere
before?
exciting. Yeah, I
No.
was. Yeah. So
Mm.
I knew about Japan. I lived in
Yeah.
Japan like 7 years ago. Just down the road from where we kind of are, I lived in Nagoya. So
Oh,
um I
very
was
nice.
interested in doing it again, doing the JET program.
Yeah.
I think I've had more challenges now though
Mm. Is
than I
there
did.
more responsibility this time?
Uh, it's not the job. The
No.
job isn't, it's just the other things that I never had to deal with when I was an exchange student.
Yeah.
Like I never had to set up my bank.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was already created. We already
Yeah. Yeah.
like that already was such a challenge because it's so hard to
Yeah.
get all the stuff done. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I never had to get a car. I never had a
Mm.
car. So like that kind of stuff I I now have to deal with. I have to deal with driving, which as we know, I'm so good. Um, if you want to hear about my driving, this is for the listeners.
Yeah.
I have released, you can go way back to episode 5, which
Yeah.
released on January 8th,
Mm.
and
Very
you
good.
can listen to my driving accidents.
I'll be
I had
sure
quite
to
a
listen
hoot.
as well.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, so I was happy to go to Japan again, and yeah, I've told the listeners already. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned challenges, so I'm
Yeah.
curious, like what kind of challenges
Yeah.
have you
Well,
experienced thus far?
I'll be honest, and it's purely, self-inflicted, but like the language barrier is fairly intense in comparison to other places you'd go. Um, there's a very strong expectation that you learn some of the language and make an effort, etc., which I've never done before in any place really. So it's that is a challenge because you have to step outside your own ego and comfort zone a little bit and stop being stubborn and actually give it a try. And it's not like you're learning French or Spanish or something where the letters are the same and it's just a few aigus and squiggly lines on an N. It's like completely different. Like there's four different alphabets basically, and
Yeah.
like I have learned two of the alphabets off by heart, and I don't understand what the point of the two of them is. Like they both represent the same sounds and everything. So I just thought like, why don't you just get rid of one of them?
Um,
But so then that's a whole
no.
new step into like why is it the way it is, and then you can question that for the next 8 months, or you can just accept it and move on with it. But I'm gonna try learn some kanji, uh, like the most common ones, and maybe I
Yeah.
can figure myself out then. But it's disoriented, I'll be honest. Like if you're not sure if a place is a restaurant or a place is a shop or what. Like it's behind closed doors. It's someone's house that you're about to walk into. Like a lot of the little izakayas, they look like
They look like
someone's
houses.
house.
Yes, they
I was
do.
like, I don't actually want to walk in here and like start, bumbling like really poorly pronounced Japanese, and then they're like, leave now. And that has happened a couple of times where you go in somewhere and
Yeah.
you like hold up two fingers and have like a smile on your face, and then they go, "Oh, we're full," and the place is like half empty, and you're like, "Okay, I
Oh,
understand. I
okay, it's
understand.
that kind.
You have a lot of reservations. I understand. I understand."
Uh-huh.
But it's so that kind of thing is like that's a new experience, obviously, and
Mm.
very different. But yeah, other challenges. Sometimes the driving in the snow is a bit dodgy. Like if it's very snowy and icy, like your
Yeah.
car can slip a little bit, and it's not a powerful car by any means, but it's still like once you lose control of it, it's kind of like you're sending a prayer that it doesn't go off the edge. I drove to a place called Matsumoto when we had our vacation there, and I was driving home, and I was going pretty slow, I thought, and I realized like the section of road I was driving back, it was dark, and the section of road that I was going along, it was like I remembered from the drive up, it's actually like a tiny little barrier, and off the edge is like a steep enough
Hmm.
drop into a
Oh,
river.
oh.
I was like, oh, I should really go even slower. And I was lucky, I didn't get complacent. Like there was a car in front of me and they were going 20 kilometers an hour. And I
Oh.
thought, thank God, actually, because I'd start going 50 and slip out
Mm.
and,
Yeah.
just safer to go that way.
That's that is quite a challenge where we live because we have a lot of snow. I
Yeah.
never thought we would. I never thought we would have snow like where
Yeah.
we are, but we do.
Mm, we do indeed.
We do.
It's kind of, wishful thinking all the way up. Everyone says there's going to be snow, but you don't see any. So you think, oh, well, no snow this year, maybe. But then it arrives, inevitably.
It arrives, yeah. For me, that wasn't much of a culture shock because that happens to me like every October,
Mm,
snow. But
mm.
in Ireland, I assume there's not a lot.
Surprisingly, I've been reading the news and getting some reports. Apparently, it's like -5 in Ireland now, which is extremely unusual. And there's all sorts of snow, people's power going out. Like, been
Oh,
going on for a week now. So that's the first time in maybe 6 or 7 years that that's happened. So it kind of happens once every 10 years, roughly, maybe 8 or 9 years. You get a strange current of wind and a bit of snow. But there's a little weather report for
thank you. I'll take it from here.
you.
I guess going back to the language, because
Hmm.
that's my main interest. How did you learn hiragana and katakana?
Uh, there was a nice website I found called Learn Japanese with Toji or something like that.
With Take
And it
Him?
just maybe, yeah. I
I think
don't
it's
know.
Take Him. I think that
Yeah.
one's really famous. Yeah.
Okay, good. And they have like the alphabet listed out, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can do tests. So I
Mm.
would just write them down and then cover them over and then do the test. And if I got one wrong, go back and do the test again until I got it.
Oh, good.
So that was how I did that. Uh, but I did that ages ago, so I might need to revise them. But yeah, it's speaking. I haven't tried speaking that much. I'll try with the English teachers that I work with, like the odd sentence or pronunciation, things like that. But they speak English, so they have mercy on me, thankfully.
It's always good to say like a little like thank you. I feel like in any language it's good to learn like hello and thank you and the kind of set
Yeah,
phrases. So as long as
yeah.
you say
The,
that, I think that's good.
I think so too. I think it's the least you can do, literally. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. And yes, I liked that you mentioned hiragana and katakana because
hmm,
for those that don't know, they are basically the same,
yeah.
but they're just orthographically written differently. Um, and I was like, what? Like in
Oh,
English, we only have to learn 26
yeah,
characters, but in Japanese, you need to learn 46 times 2.
yeah. Plus all the little variations
Yeah.
that they add on, like the little apostrophes and circles and
Yeah,
like
the diacritics. Yeah.
yeah. And then you have combinations, especially in katakana, lots of combinations.
Yes. Yeah. So, but it is learnable. So for people who are
Yes.
interested in learning Japanese, it is learnable. You can do what Callum said. I think that's a good idea just to like go over it again and again and again. If
Yeah.
you learn, I learned it through mnemonics, so I like
Hmm.
created stories for each
Hmm.
character until I could remember it.
That's what I did on the website. They had like little images on the
Oh, good. Yeah.
on the in on the little things. So it's like yeah, they were very, very handy.
Yes, I think
And
that's a
some of them you can remember because the image didn't look anything like it, so you can make a connection like, okay, it was meant to be a salmon, but it's sa, like I say. Does it
I
look
was like
anything
trying
like the
to,
salmon?
I think it was one of the ALTs in our area. I was like telling them or showing them how the hiragana for ol or wool is like a guy riding a skateboard, and they're like, no, it's
Hmm.
not. But I believed it was. So that worked for me, but maybe not them.
Exactly. If it works, it works.
If it works, it works. Yeah, for
Hmm.
anything. And then
Hmm.
I guess for you, just a word of wisdom, like
Hmm.
kanji is extremely daunting.
Yeah,
Extremely daunting. But
pretty nasty.
when you get kind of comfortable with it,
Hmm.
it's magic
Yeah,
when you read because Japanese has
yeah,
no spaces, right? So they act as the spaces.
yeah.
Or read having the kanji and then the hiragana together, you can read way faster.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
it
I
took
think
me 3 years
that's
to kind of appreciate kanji.
yeah. I was a little bit stubborn at the start about it. I was like, oh, I don't need to learn this. Yeah, da, 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 da. And then, I started to think like they're so beautiful and artistic. It's actually quite interesting then to know what they mean in conjunction with each other as well. So it's like there's actually curiosity now rather
Mm.
than blind ignorance
Oh, good.
driving the motivation.
Hey, that's
Yeah,
good.
so that's a good thing.
Well,
Yeah,
we'll have to have you on another time and you can tell us about all the kanji you've learned. I'm curious.
yeah, all 10.
Actually, that kind of reminds me like when I first started learning Japanese. I got a book from a
Yeah.
bookstore, like a famous bookstore in Canada, and it was like your
Mm,
first 100 kanji. So I
mm,
was so excited and I like went through that book and then I only remembered 16 and
yeah.
I was so frustrated. I only remembered 16.
Yeah.
Now I know a
It's
lot
better than
more,
zero.
but it's better than zero,
That's
but
the
16 I was like I was so frustrated. But yeah,
mm.
it you get
It's
you
the
get
same
over
with
it.
it's the same with literally everything though. Like you have to make a start and be really shit at something to make a start, and then just kind of persevere through it a little bit
Hmm.
until you can, you know, feel the pain recede.
Yeah, that's true. You can't
Mm,
go on the skis without falling if it's your first time. That's what's going to happen
exactly.
to me when I actually do ski, but it's like that. Like, yeah, you just have to
Yeah,
just get started and fall a couple of times and soon
exactly.
you'll be able to jump across the valley. I don't know. This is it's going somewhere, but it went away.
You shall grow wings and fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you also said that well, part of one of the challenges was driving and that you were going on an adventure. So I'm curious, like what kind of stuff have you been doing since you've been in Japan? What kind of adventures have you been on?
Yeah, I've gone to Osaka a couple of times and a place called Toyama. Gone to Nagoya, and they were all on the bus. And then driving, I've kind of tried to drive as much as possible the areas around the city, um, and a few longer drives as well. But yeah, I think driving is actually, it's a challenge in the winter, but it's actually the most fun thing to do because the roads are extremely scenic and like
It's awful.
it's not a it's not potholy or anything, but like you get some brilliant views going through valleys and going up alongside rivers and things like that. So I enjoy that a lot. But yeah, the bigger cities I'm really not a fan of, to be quite honest. Like they just feel dirty. Like
Mm,
even though, there's no trash anywhere and they're like spotlessly clean on the ground. But just the amount of people that are in your
mm-hmm.
face and like in 100 meters of you at any time. Um, I wouldn't be used to that whatsoever. Like in Ireland, I come from the countryside, and it's kind of where I spent most of my life, obviously. And it's like, there's a few people around, but nothing on the same scale. And it's like you go into this place and you try walk through like a subway station or like one of these underpasses that go through the city or like a
Mm-hmm.
main shopping street. You can't move for yourself. Like you have to scrunch up, you know? And then it's yeah. So there's a lot of people there and a lot of like people to meet, etc., and things to do, but the price you pay for it is, stressful in a way.
It's
I can't
stressful.
imagine what somewhere like Mexico City or Rio or somewhere like that is, where it's, the same amount of people in an even like denser space. But yeah, no, I've never experienced that like it. Um, like Tokyo, Osaka, they're mental. That would be my only conclusion so far. Like I haven't got over the shock. I've got
Right.
there enough to even like make a proper thought about it. But yeah, so they're a bit odd. The smaller places, what I've noticed is they all have their own kind of character and charm.
Mm-hmm.
So like I went to Gujo, Hiro, Matsumoto, Shirakawa, all these kind of smaller towns,
Mm-hmm.
Hida. They all have their own like little character to them, which I find interesting. Either it's just a very slight architectural difference or like a very slight what they put on the roofs or how they paint the house or whatever, or how
Hmm.
they maintain the place. It's all just slightly different. Not so noticeable, but it has a different feeling in each place, which I think is really nice. And obviously some of those are a bit more touristy than others, but I went to Giro and I thought it was really nice. That was a cool place. But yeah, no, I've gone on a longer drive. I looked up on the internet where the highest settled point in Japan was. I figured it must be close to it. So I drove there, took maybe 4 hours or something, and it was in, Nagano Prefecture,
Mm,
Nagano,
Nagano.
Nag
Nagano.
Nagano. Uh, and it was like, it's literally just a petrol station and a shop on the top of like at the base of a mountain. I was like,
Woo!
this was pretty much pointless, but pretty nice to see it anyway.
But you did it.
But exactly. So that was just an interesting place to go. Nothing interesting to see, but just to say you've been there. And it's cool because you look down the valley and you can see like really far because it's about 1,300 meters up and
Mm-hmm.
you can see all the way down the valley. And it's, the sun was setting and the clouds were coming in.
Wow.
So it was kind of very mystical. It was very nice. And that felt nice to see something like that. But yeah, other than that, near the start, I went like when it was better weather. Again, I figured like we're in the mountains, so there must be like a tall one. So I walked to Takayama Sky Park, kind of have a little look around what was out there. And they had this very useful kind of infographic of all the mountains that you were looking at. So I saw a name there called Hotaka, and I thought that's that's the biggest one. I'll go climb that one. And I went one Saturday morning, went up and got my ass handed to me for about 14 hours because it was like going up, I thought, okay, it'll take 8 hours to get up and back and it'll be fine. So I started walking up and then you come to this like boulder field, which is, you have to go up a kilometer, and the incline is like that, like,
Oh gosh.
a steep incline, right? And you're climbing over these boulders all the way up. So like you're scrambling like Gollum all the way up the hill and like the rocks are falling beneath you. And I met this one guy coming down and his method for coming down was literally just like jumping and sliding down the rocks. Like that's not safe. Like I had a little chat with him and he was like, "Oh, stay safe up there." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then continue for like another 4 hours to get to like a ridge line and then another, 30 minutes to the peak. But then you have to go back down the boulder field, which just takes hours and hours. And at this time, the sun was pounding me. So I came home and like I had burn like all the way from my
Oh
t-shirt line
no.
to like my fingertips.
Your
Like even my
fingertips.
hands,
Oh my
even my
goodness.
hands got scalded. Like, but no, that was an interesting one. Got absolutely humbled, I would say, by the mountain, which is always nice to experience. So that was an interesting one.
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I don't think I could do like that kind of steep.
Hmm.
Like, I'm not that athletic, so I commend you for that.
Yeah. Well, neither could I. But,
So, I guess I'm wondering, like, you've done some traveling. Where would
hmm.
you recommend people to go?
Hmm.
Wondering.
Obviously, obviously Takayama is the best.
Yeah, it's the best.
No, outside of that, I think, despite everything I said about the big cities, it's still an experience. So I think definitely have a look around, you know, enjoy it because there's so many things to do there. You couldn't fit it all in into 1 week or even a year. So just to experience it once in your life is nice. But I'll try and go to the smaller places as well and have a little nose around. I thought Gujo was absolutely beautiful. You have river running right through it. You can go swimming. Little castle on top of a hill,
Hmm.
gorgeous. Um, Hero, pretty cool place. Bit smaller, I think. Uh, but I think the nicest one was, Shirakawa Go. I only went there for, an afternoon, but it was still, you know, it's a UNESCO heritage site or whatever, so you have to
Hmm.
pay it a bit of respect and all that. But it's still you know, it's small, very quaint, but you can tell they've maintained the kind of culture and tradition there for a very long time.
Hmm.
And I think it's pretty popular even with Japanese people. So it's nice to have a little nose around there as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mm,
Shirakawa-go is a very popular place for people to
yeah,
go.
yeah,
I went there and I did like it, but I kind of realized that I'm impatient. I
yeah,
realized that at Shirakawa-go. Um,
yeah,
I'm getting older too, so that could have been it too. You know, with age you get more irritable, so
yeah. You have to move along.
yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, yeah,
And I've only been to Ghetto, well, I stopped in Ghetto once just to go to a little onsen, but that was
yeah,
about it.
yeah.
I've only driven through it, so next time I'll have to stop by Ghetto for sure.
Have a little walk around. Cool place.
Yeah, and you can see the little frog.
Yeah,
That's their character. Their mascot is a
yeah.
frog. It's really cute.
Yeah,
Um,
that's another thing. All the towns have little mascots, and there's little mascots everywhere. Like when I was going through Tokyo, I was walking around, and even the police cars had little mascots on them, which I thought was just hilarious. Like we're going to arrest you, but in a nice way. Yeah, little cartoon teddy bear on it, like put your hands up. Like okay,
I never even realized that. That's so
just
funny.
guess.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness. That's funny.
hmm,
Yeah, Japan is an interesting place
certainly
for
is.
that. Um, I guess, well, we've talked about kind of what you've done around Takayama by driving and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Now I want to know what your life in Takayama is like, and I guess
Mm,
particularly your job,
mm,
since we have that in common. But every
yeah.
situation is different, as all Jets come to realize.
Mm,
Um, how
yeah.
how's your working environment? How's teaching? Do you have any teaching experience? That kind of stuff.
Uh, no, I've never been a teacher in front of like a classroom before. Um, not properly or like not in an educational context or anything. I did some tutoring, like one-on-one, online and in person, before this. And I got the, TEFL qualification or
Ooh.
whatever, which is, it's very easy to hack that TEFL thing. You just open the quiz in a separate tab, then control F the answers. Little life hack for anyone who needs to get it quickly. Um,
You heard it
so
right
that
here.
you heard it right here. TEFL, if you're listening, you got played, unfortunately. I'm sure many others have done it as well. It was extremely disingenuous of me, but yeah, I did the 130-hour course in about 3 hours. So bit of a joke in terms of the security, or not security, but like the verification and legitimacy of it. I
Mm.
think it's, you know, they need to sort that out. But no, I've never done teaching before. So like, the first classroom I stepped into, I think I might have overestimated their ability in English, talking quite fast with an accent, writing things on the board and like trying to explain, the five W's and all this, like who, what, when, where, and why to a bunch of 12-year-olds. Like, not going to work out. Like, so no, the first week was a bit of a, you're kind of gauging like, okay, like it it was the same level of French I would have had at their age when I was doing French in school. So it's like obviously you have to speak slowly, you know, take your time and, have a smile on your face, obviously, but don't get frustrated would be the main thing because you are dealing with, people who's it's their second language and it's their first time learning it. So that's a bit of a challenge, but I've been fairly blessed, I would say. The schools I got, like they're two of them are kind of outside the city, a bit more rural, and I've gotten little gifts of tomatoes and plums and little bag of rice at one stage as well, which is really
Ooh.
nice. So they're very kind-hearted, welcoming, despite the language kind of mismatch. We do a lot of Google Translate kind of communication. Yeah, no, it's been working out okay. Uh, I think English is not really a priority though. That's the main thing that I've noticed. So it's kind of, your job isn't actually that important in the end. It's important for, 40 minutes twice a week. But apart from that, they have, 5 days worth of classes to go through. So if you can make it fun, both for the teacher and the students, then I think it makes life easier for everyone, including yourself. Like you just play hangman or bingo. Like everyone's happy by the end, and maybe they learned a new word. It's good. But one of the schools, there's no English teacher, so kind of have to cooperate with the homeroom teachers to figure it out together, which is it's interesting trying
Oh.
to balance things there because you know they don't really tell me what my responsibility is, so you kind of have to figure it out as you go. And some of them want to take the lead and others don't. So they have to balance it. And that can change from class to class as well. So you might get a request 5 minutes before the class, like, do you want to do games this class? It's like, oh, no problem. Let's play Hangman. uh, but no, I think, I should probably take it a bit more seriously because it just feels that it's not the it's not the priority for anyone. So I think it's good to understand your role a little bit and just take it easy with them. But I've been quite lucky. Like the two English teachers I have in the other schools, uh, they're very they're pretty fluent and they're very prepared. They've been doing it a while, so they have it down to a science, which is nice
Hmm.
because you just slot in then with your piece. So that's good.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the students themselves. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on them, outside of even your class. There's a lot of pressure on them, clean your school, like stand up, bow before class, bow after class, like bow when you enter the staff room or talk to a superior, all this kind of thing, which is all very different
Hmm.
to what I would have seen in, my own school experience. But yeah, so that's very different. But yeah, I think it's overall low pressure environment, low stakes environment in terms of, if you make a mistake, most people don't notice. Like you're pretty much okay. Well, if you have a spelling error on a slide or you forget a word, I mean, no one's really bearing down on you too harshly for those kind of things. So yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Good. I guess I'm wondering what you want to do after Jet. Do you want to go into teaching? What's your
Uh,
main goal in life?
a main goal in life that's to be decided, really. I've kind of, you know, for a long time just been taking it as it comes, basically, and seeing what happens. Uh, and there's a few things I'd like to do. I'd like to go back to Ireland for a little bit. Haven't been there for basically 4 years now, properly. Um, so a lot has changed there. So it'll be good to go back and, you know, see my friends, family, etc. So I'll probably get a job in Ireland for a few months and see how that goes. And once I get sick of it, go off somewhere else and see what happens. Maybe Canada, maybe Australia.
Oh,
We
you
shall
should come
see.
to Canada.
Yeah.
I'm not biased at all.
No, no, I have a friend in Canada in Vancouver and he's absolutely loving it. He is an Irish born and his father is from Northern Ireland. So he managed to get a British passport so that he could get a permanent visa in Canada, which was
Ooh.
a pretty handy little hack for him there. So that was pretty cool. So he's over there permanently, I would say. So at least for a visit, it'd be nice to see him.
Vancouver's fun,
Mm,
but
yeah.
maybe you would like Vancouver Island.
I'll,
Based off our conversation, the Vancouver
yeah,
Island is a little bit more rural
relax.
than Vancouver City.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but
Oh.
definitely at some point. But yeah, I don't know, like what I want to do with my life, to be honest. It's uh, bit mental, to be honest. Even thinking about it, I know you have to grow up at some stage and all that, but it's like there's a lot of different things to do in life, and we're very fortunate to have the opportunities that we do have. Uh, I can only speak for myself, but like you have a lot of opportunity, and I don't know, it's very yeah, it's it's good, obviously, but it's sometimes there's too many things that you could possibly do or want to do, so you have to kind of just take a choice at some point. But yeah, I
Mm.
don't know. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like for older generations, they've always done like the same job for how many years. But I
Yeah,
know that
exactly.
we're starting to be able to like kind of change our minds and like, yeah, I don't want to really do this. It's not going to change, and we have that opportunity. Um,
Yeah,
there's a lot of things I guess that people have to offer. So, um,
yeah. It's a real blessing, and it is thanks to a lot of generations of hard work. I mean,
yes, yeah.
you can I can look at my own family and like my parents' generation, my grandparents' generation. They just did the same thing for, 50 years basically to make sure that their kids could do something better. And, you know, you kind of want to pay it forward at the same time and work hard and provide for the next generation coming up. But at the same time, it's like you want to enjoy it a little bit first before you really put your nose down and get
Hmm.
a taste of life.
Very true.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
So I guess we haven't mentioned it yet, which I don't know why, but I found out that Callum does DJing,
Oh, yes.
which is pretty
That's
cool.
that's a real stretch to say that I do DJing.
It's a
It's
hobby.
a
It's a hobby.
very much a hobby thing. I've done, a few parties in Ireland with my friends or whatever. All went horrifically badly. Did a few gigs in Sweden. Most went horrifically badly. So, I will hope to do some DJ gigs here in Japan, and they'll go horrifically badly. And I'll be extremely proud of the 7 songs that I like.
I think it's cool. Do you ever do DJing Takayama, let me know. I'll go.
No, I don't have any equipment even to practice with yet. So
Ah,
I'll say I'll work on getting some equipment, but I've been talking to people in some of the larger cities, so maybe I can scurry in there for
yeah.
for get a small chance for an hour somewhere
I think it'd
and
be
see a bit
fun.
of
I would
crack.
go. I would like to.
Yeah,
I haven't been to a club in Japan yet.
yeah.
I don't have the much like that much clubbing experience anyways, but all
Mm,
my friends went to clubs while they were during my exchange. So I think
yeah,
maybe now it's my turn to have some fun, like you said. Enjoy life.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, get a taste of
if you're
life.
ever DJing, I'll go to that place.
I'll be telling everyone. Absolutely. At least
Good.
then there will be, four people in the bar.
No, don't
You
be too.
know, I did the first one that I did like in front of people who weren't my friends, and even in front of my friends, like I've emptied the dance floor significantly several times. Like you put on a few good songs and it's going well, and then you choose an absolute nightmare of a song, and everyone hates it, and they just leave. I was like, oh, back to square one there,
It's
which is,
interesting.
it's
It's
entertaining.
an art.
Yeah, it certainly is. I have a lot of respect for people who are actually able to do it because I've no musical talent basically. So I just play songs in order that I like. So it's not really a fun experience if you're, there to appreciate music. But it's like the people who are able to do it properly, they have a very good understanding of music and how music works and all that, which I did not have. And I do not care to get either, to be quite honest. Like learning notes and beats and bars and all that. It doesn't click in my head so much.
Mm.
Like I tried the guitar, tried drums. It's, I forget about it. Not for me.
I think, yeah, I've been on the receiving end of not the best DJing, and it's not the best feeling when you're like on that high, and then they play a song that doesn't match, and then you're like, oh,
An
but
absolute nightmare.
it's just part of learning. We,
It's part of the fun.
yeah. Um, okay, I have some a few questions more that I want
Excellent.
to ask. I
Please
guess we
do.
can do some. I guess two are
Hmm.
like fast,
Fast.
fast answers.
Excellent.
So first,
Hmm.
what is your favorite Japanese food?
Favorite Japanese food? Gosh, it's difficult to pick favorites. I'll give you some that I like. I really like when they make sashimi with like tuna or salmon. That's probably the most basic answer you can ever give. Like raw fish. Okay, no doubt. And there was, I can't remember what it is. Again, it's such a basic answer. Like the Takayama steak, like the Hida
Hida
beef
beef.
steak. Jesus, they make that so well. But actually, the most enjoyable eating experience I've had is I went into like a yakiniku restaurant or whatever in Osaka. And I sat in between like two kind of older lads. And as soon as the guy on the left saw me, he like shifted his chair like away from my direction. And then the
Oh.
guy on the right, yeah, the guy on the right, he looked absolutely horrified when I started making it because I hadn't ordered rice. I hadn't ordered, like the little dipping sauce or anything. I just literally ordered meat and a grill and started plowing it on there. And he kind of tapped me. He was like showing me how to order and what to order. I was like, oh, thank you very much. And we actually had a good time. We didn't speak to each other, but we made lots of like thumbs up, some nods, and like, thank you, thank you. No problem. No problem. Kind of gestures. And that was probably the most enjoyable one, just for the sheer, like, sticking out like a sore thumb in a scenario. It's that can be fun. but it was delicious as well. The meat and like they dip it in. I don't know what they put with it. Some sort of soy sauce base, and then you dip it in there, and a little bit of rice, and delicious little cold beer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely gorgeous. Um,
Yakiniku is so
yeah,
good.
but you're after catch me on the spot because I feel like there is something that I've really enjoyed, but I just can't think of it. I mean,
Do you know what
karage
it
is pretty
is?
nice. Karage is pretty nice. Fried chicken.
Fried chicken, so good.
Mm. Okonomiyaki, pretty good. Very tasty.
I love
Uh,
okonomiyaki. Mm,
yeah,
so good.
really delicious. You know, at the Takayama Festival, they had ones with like little circular like that you'd cut out cakes with, but they made the okonomiyaki in it, so it had like a full cake kind of structure. It was pretty
Ooh.
nice. Yeah, pretty nice to eat. Uh, yeah, yakisoba, yaki udon, yakitori. They're all. It's all delicious. I'll be honest.
There's not just one single
No,
food.
you know, every day the school lunch, you know, they give you school lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
Every day I have like a massive smile on my face, like delicious.
Oh, good. I'm glad
Rice,
you do.
soup,
I
rice,
sometimes
soup,
don't.
fish, chicken, like a full dinner for like €2. It's incredible. Yeah. But no, I don't have anything that stands out just yet. Maybe I'll find something though. I mean, obviously the sushi is delicious as well. So, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Next question. What's your favorite restaurant in Takayama?
Ooh, favorite restaurant. Hmm. Favorite restaurant in Takayama. We went to one for uh like a nomikai, and I forget the name of it, but it cost relatively a little bit more, and it was absolutely delicious. I can't remember the name of it, but they had sashimi, yakiniku, pita beef, all these things that I've been talking about, all coming like one after the other. I was like, can't really beat that. So that was delicious. I must find out the name of it though. It was in a lovely little upstairs room, like low ceiling. It was really, really good.
Ah, was it
Hmm.
by there's like a little izakaya block in Takayama in Old City where there's like a bunch of bars and stuff, and I think
Hmm.
I went to one that was had an upstairs that was close by
Yeah,
there.
I
I
think it was
forget.
close there, but just like one street over or something. I'll
Mm.
find out the name.
I'll
I'll
put it
find out the name.
I can put it in the comments for people who are interested in going. Um
Definitely.
yeah, the beef is so good.
It's extremely good. I mean, Irish steak is nice, and you can't really beat, a nice Irish fillet steak, but the heat of beef, the way they cook it real thin, and then
Hmm.
it has a little bit of crisp, but then it just melts away. Delicious.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
good.
Mm,
All right.
yes.
What is your favorite kombini?
Family Mart.
Good answer.
Has to be Family Mart. It's the two that are closest to me. And the people are always very nice to me, even though I struggle to speak with them in time. They're very quick. So I'm saying, oh my gosh, so and they've already finished. I'm like, oh yeah, like some sort of foreign zombie that walks in. Uh, I think I'll just start saying like I'm sorry in Japanese every time I go up to the counter and just apologizing for being present. But when I say
They might think you want something though.
it's bare my head in absolute shame.
I'm so
But
much.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, okay. I think we've gone over the quick fire questions.
Mm. Excellent.
Um, Now I want you to do some reflection,
Some reflection.
or some reflection as the last questions.
Sure.
My first question that I want to ask is, what advice do you have for a new AOT who's coming to Takayama?
Ah, it's a good question. I think to be one of the languages difficult to ever exist, I would say learn some Japanese first. Um, that would be the number one thing. Um, Other than that, just go out, have a look around, explore. Uh, I was a little bit reluctant at the start to do that because I felt like, an extreme outsider. Because when you walk around your local area, you immediately stand out. So it's like everyone kind of stares at you. People who are driving in cars even are kind of looking at you like, well, what is this? Walking down the road. But you get over that and then, yeah, just go out and explore. Like there's loads of little hills and stuff around the city that you can go and have a look in. There's little shrines, like loads of little hidden, what would you say, streets, like off the main center. Um, yeah, that would be it. And go out into try get into a bit of nature. Go for a drive, go for a walk. I mean, it's really beautiful once you get outside the built up area in inverted commas, like outside the more urbanized area.
Hmm.
It really is, you know, beautiful. So I think just go for a look around. That'd be the main thing. Get a hold of your surroundings and then start talking to people as best you can.
As best you can. That's good advice.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
I remember this, this was like in September, I think. I was
yeah,
having lunch with my friends at a cafe that's on a
yeah.
mountain. And we're just looking out the window and well, I wasn't, but another person was. And then off in the corner we see Callum
Oh yeah,
just just strolling on the his walk. So
yeah,
that was good.
yeah.
Um,
No, because like, there's a whole load of little back alleys and little streets and everything that you don't know where they lead, and you have to walk down them. You can't really drive around the back people's houses and stuff. But there's loads of these beautiful little alleys that you can just stroll around. And in that particular case, I kind of walked. I wanted to check out an area off to my left, and I kind of walked to a dead end. And as I was coming back, I saw there was a path, and I kind of went up into the hill. So I said, "Oh, I'll go up here. Haven't been here." Went up, and I was walking up, and kind of the same thing. Out of the corner of my eye, I see this building, and then I'm like, "I've been here before. Maybe, maybe not." I look inside, and there the four of you are sitting there. I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." But that hill, it connects to the back of the what's it called the what's
the
the name of the shrine?
um,
The Hachiman Shrine, the main
Sakura
shrine,
Hachiman.
Hachiman
I
Shrine.
know the one that we went to,
Yeah,
right?
the big
Yeah.
one. And you can continue on that hill along a path, and you can get up along the back of that shrine and walk down into the shrine from there.
Oh,
So it's all connected. So it's really
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
So that
nice.
was a nice discovery.
I'll have to
And
take that
then
hike.
there's another path you can take which goes up to its own little altar. And it's all these kind of like crisscrossing paths all the way up the hill to get up to this little altar. So
Oh, I know what
there's
you're
loads
talking
of,
about. I
hmm,
think I went there with my friend during winter vacation. It's like, well, I don't know, but the place I went to was like it was old castle ruins because we used to have a castle in Takayama,
yeah,
and
yeah, I've been there as well.
that was a bit of
That
a
one's
hike
pretty
for
cool.
me.
Hmm,
I'm not the most athletic, so I was kind of ugh. And
yeah.
I was
No, it
freaked
is
out about
steep.
bears, just a bit, yeah.
Bears, yeah. I was walking up to the Takayama Sky Park, and I noticed on their little bear notice that it was like, I checked the date on my phone, like I'm seeing it, like the last bear sighting was like a few weeks ago or something. I was like, oh God. Completely abandoned kind of path up, a little bit overgrown. I was like, oh, maybe go
Yeah.
the long way around here. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm.
One last question for you,
Yes.
and maybe the same answer, but we'll see. But I'm wondering if you had the chance to do the JET program again,
Yeah.
what or would you change anything?
Yeah, like I said, I've kind of just been seeing what happens the last while, last few years. So I'd probably do more preparation and go in with a little bit more of an intention um, of what I want to actually get out of it, rather than just like apply and hope for the best, go and hope for the best. Um, Actually have an idea of what I want to get out of it. Um, a realistic idea, not like an interview answer idea. But yeah, no, probably do a bit more preparation now. Certainly learn a bit of Japanese, etc.
Mm,
Yeah,
good.
because it's not really, it doesn't really, hit you in the face until it does hit you in the face, and then you're like, oh, geez, I can't speak to anyone. Like, it's really quite a sobering slap in the face, because you're so used to being able to communicate with people in some form or manner, and then it goes back to like caveman communication where you're using your hands to gesture and like grunt and like like this, and it's like God, you're lowering the dignity of everyone around you through your ignorance, including yourself. So I think a bit more preparation would be essential.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's good advice.
yeah.
Hmm. Great.
And they say that a lot in the preparations, and you can choose not to listen to it or choose to listen to it. I would choose to listen to it and take heed of it, because it's not a situation where you can just say, "Oh, it'll be grand." Like you will be not struggling, but you will be surprised by the uh, you know, yeah, it'll be a surprise. It'll be a shock, definitely. Mm.
Good advice. Yeah, listen to what people have to say at the orientations, learn Japanese, um, learn a little bit about where you're going, I think would be um, great as well. Um,
Definitely.
I didn't do that part very well because I just searched Takayama and I found out that
Yes.
it had an old town and that was it. But
Yeah.
I had no idea how popular it was. I was so shocked. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's all my questions. Thank you so
Excellent.
much for again giving the time to
Thank you for having me.
join my
Thank you.
podcast. You are the first guest. So exciting.
First is the worst.
No, no.
It
I'm
only goes
so
up from
honored.
here, listeners.
No, no.
It only goes up
I'm
from here. Don't
no,
worry.
don't say that. It was good. No, it was really interesting to hear your experiences in Japan. And
Hmm.
the goal of this podcast is for people to learn a little bit. That's I like to
Yeah.
teach. So if they can learn something, I'm
Yeah.
happy. And I think they are able to. So
Excellent.
for listeners, if you have listened to this podcast, please put on Instagram comments what you have learned. I would
Hmm.
be very interested to read.
Me too.
And with that, I think we'll end. So I will see you all later.
Excellent.